Hey, Caleb, how's it going? Today, we're going to talk about Social Bloom's managed SDR team service line, and the one that includes phone calls, email, and LinkedIn outreach. And obviously, the reason we're here today to talk about this is so that buyers reviewing your service listings in the Cloud Task Marketplace can decide or have a better idea as to whether they want to invite you to interview or Social Bloom to interview for their service request. We've got just 3 questions. Let's get started. Question number 1. Who is the best fit for this service offer?
Yeah, definitely. For this specific type of campaign, obviously it's someone or a company who needs to generate more pipeline, just like most of our services. However, the big difference here is that it's a bigger package. So obviously a bigger budget, but they want to get results fast. Okay, because since it's all three channels, we're seeing results come in a little bit faster than just email. So it is a little bit more expensive, but it's for people who want to get those fast results.
Just out of curiosity, why are the results, or why have you seen the results be faster when you're using multiple channels versus one channel or two channels? So I should say when you're using 3 channels versus one channel or 2 channels.
Yeah, it's just because it's like that multi-channel approach. People seem to respond faster when we're going through different channels all at the same time versus like just sending emails, right? And it doesn't mean starting with just emails bad, but for companies that want to get up and running fast and get results fast, this is the best fit for them.
Are there any industries that you've seen that you just have more of a track record of success with this product offering? Is maybe marketing agencies, maybe it's companies that are, I don't know, selling a certain type of software.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the biggest ones that have the most success with this are going to be marketing agencies, video production companies. When it comes to SaaS, a lot of recruiting software companies for the specific package.
Okay. And just out of curiosity, one more question, doubling down. Who are you normally targeting? Like when you're working with those types of companies, what type of target audience are you normally focusing on as Social Bloom normally doing outreach to?
Yeah, so it's a little bit all over the board, honestly. But of course, B2B is what we're always doing. A lot of founders is who we're reaching out to. CMOs, so marketing decision makers, that's what I would say is going to be the most popular ICP that we're going after in terms of like a broad ICP.
Okay, great. And let's get into question number 2. What are the components of this service offer, and would you provide some details around, how you guys build lists, build sequences, performance reporting, and then a little bit about platforms and people that might be involved in delivery of this service?
Yeah, definitely. So with the process itself, I guess let's start on like the list. The list is kind of a mix between human curated lists and also using tools. So we do have that scraping team, which I'll touch on later when I get to the team. But we're doing manual prospecting and enriching, in this case, like the phone numbers as well, verified phone numbers using tools like Apollo.io. Um, so that's how we build the lists. When it comes to the actual copy and the cadences, for email and LinkedIn, we have a copywriter there. So they're taking this information from the onboarding process to create the messaging, the copy, and the steps. For calling, we're not using a script. We use something called a talk tracker. So that SDR who's calling is actually jumping in on that onboarding process in those calls. So that way they can create a talk tracker. And of course, it's just easier if we get specific questions over the phone, anything like that. If that SDR is involved in the onboarding process, they can answer those questions a little bit easier that way. So that's going to be the messaging. When it comes to keeping clients informed about the progress of the campaigns, we do have socialboomdata.com. I know I've touched on that in the past as well, but daily updates, weekly Zoom meetings are big also. And then we just have that Slack channel for all that communication. So that's where the team interacts with our clients.
Okay. And one more question on that front. When it comes down to the messaging, how much involvement or support do you need, or how much does the client need to understand what their messaging is, or have a past track record of
Yeah.
messaging results to help your team come up with the right talk tracks, especially for that caller?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the more info that they have on their ICP and their offer, obviously the better, but that's not always the case. And that's why companies work with us, right? Because they need help with that. So look, it makes the campaign ramp faster if they have that. If they don't, we're collecting that information during our campaign. And especially when we're doing 3 channels like this, we get so much market intel so fast that allows us to ramp faster. So kind of going back to before, like, hey, this is a great way to get results fast.
So you could test faster and more quickly get to the outbound messaging that might work most consistently for the client and their target audience.
Yes, exactly.
And just before we move on to that next question, could you double down on exactly which team members or kind of supporting cast is involved in this
Mhm.
delivery?
Yeah, so we have 2 SDRs. So that's going to be for the calling part. And then we also have an SDR that's going to be handling the LinkedIn and email part. So handling the responses that we're getting, trying to get them booked, doing the follow ups there as well. That scraping team, I know I kind of mentioned that a little bit earlier as well. So that
Mhm.
scraping team is doing that manual prospecting, getting the data for the SDRs and so on. And then account manager, copywriter, deliverability team. So account managers kind of that leader of the entire team, looking over everything, making sure we're on track, making necessary adjustments on a weekly basis. Deliverability team, pretty straightforward, making sure we're in the inbox, and copywriter, like I mentioned earlier, doing that LinkedIn and email messaging.
Great. Now for the last question, what can a client expect for that first 120 days of buying this service?
Hmm.
From onboarding to those first 3 months of actual execution, what should they expect as far as the ramp up goes with this particular service offering from Social Bloom?
Yeah, so the first 2 weeks, that's onboarding. Usually 2 to 3 weeks is when we're running that onboarding. And then we don't start tracking the 3 months until the first email, LinkedIn, and call goes out. So that's when the 3 months actually officially starts. And
Okay.
that first month, it's a lot of handling the responses, getting those leads. We are booking meetings, but they're not going to be perfect SQLs right away. We still need to gather that market intelligence in most cases in that first month and that feedback loop from our clients in order to really get solid opportunities booked. That second month is when we're putting that into play a little bit. Now these meetings start getting a little bit more qualified. We're really nailing down that ICP. Things are looking good. We should have some people in the pipeline that look like they will close. They're a great fit. And then month 3, we should start hitting our goal, our monthly goal at that point. And then every month after that, we should solidify that.
All right. Just to wrap this up, I got to throw in a little curveball. If in the event that no meetings were booked in the first month, what would you guys do? How would you handle that situation?
Yeah, so I mean, we want to catch that prior to just 3 months. I don't want to wait 3 months to be like, oh, we didn't book anything. Now let's make a change. So we're trying to do this on a weekly basis. We have a red zone process. So every week, if our goal on a monthly basis is 5 meetings booked, last week you didn't get a single meeting. Monday morning, you're in the red zone. So we go through to see why a meeting didn't get booked last week. We have all the issues lined up with the solution, and we implement that for the following week. Now, it's not always a guarantee like, oh, like this little change now totally did a 180 on the campaign and we're back on track. But at least we're making and chipping away in the right direction on a weekly basis towards our goal. And again, that's just to prevent exactly that situation that you mentioned. It's been 3 months. Like we just let the campaign run and there was no results. Like, yeah, I just wouldn't feel good about that. Yeah.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much for the information, Caleb. I think this will really help buyers get a good sense for what it's like to purchase or what it would be like to use the managed SDR teams offering from Social Bloom that includes phone, email, and LinkedIn. And we will catch you next time.